Now, other interesting cultural news, you have Bud Light causing 2 bottling plants to close and lay off 645 employees. All thanks to Bud Light's business blunder of hiring someone whose average age of consumption, or their average viewer on the TikTok, was about 15 years old. And Bud Light goes, that's going to be our spokesperson. That's a good idea. Let's target those. Well, yeah, even though kids can't buy beer, let's have someone whose core audience is kids. Pay this person lots of money, get a special can. Let's see what happens. You saw what happens. So they've lost about $28 billion in stock valuation, millions upon millions, millions of dollars in sales. And after being the top-selling beer in the United States for 20 years, they just lost that spot to Modelo a couple weeks back. Keep in mind, Modelo in the United States is owned by Constellation Brands. So it is a separate entity. That was the only way that the United States Security Exchange Commissions, the SEC, would allow Anheuser-Busch and InBev to combine into one global company. So in the United States, Modelo is a separate brand. Globally, yes, the global sales of Modelo, that is part of Anheuser-Busch InBev. But we're talking about USA right now, at least for the sales figures. The first time in 20 years, Bud Light lost that spot because of this marketing business blunder. And it looks like the ripple effect of that action is still being seen throughout the industry. Now, these are specifically 2 separate entities that partner with Anheuser-Busch Bud Light. There's the supplier for the bottles that make Bud Light, which has to be really expensive because it's such acidic, crappy swill. If it was regular glass, it would just melt and come out the bottom and eat away your feet if you're falling on your toes, I assume. I haven't had one in years, but I could only assume that's still the contents that's inside. Now, this is specifically Argdale Group, which last week noted they were shutting down their Wilson, North Carolina, and some Barrow, Louisiana plants. The Wilson plant employs nearly 400 people, and the Simsboro plant employs nearly 245 people. And if you look at it, it's interesting. Now, this is kind of peculiar. When asked for comment, the companies actually claimed that they were closing due to a multi-year optimization plan. However, obviously it sounds like BS because it is. More like a political statement. A study by WRAL found that Argyle was forced to close the plants due to declining sales of Bud Light, who is one of their major contractors. So if you have a plant that makes bottles and your biggest customer decide to shoot themselves in the foot so their sales just decline exponentially, they don't need as many bottles. So obviously it's going to hurt your sales. And it looks like it hurt the sales so bad they had to close down these factories. And it looks like a memo leaked about May 18th. They noted that specifically it was due, internally they told their employees, yeah, this is due because of the Bud Light boycott. Or more accurately, Bud Light shooting themselves in the foot, and the consumer is not appreciating their marketing initiatives. Now, it is interesting that in business, there is a lot of politics behind it. And I can understand why the plant is not wanting to, what do you call it, culturally speaking, slam dunk on someone. They don't want to actually admit, oh yeah, this is because of Brandon Whitworth, the CEO of Bud Light, as well as Alyssa Heiderchild, the VP of marketing, the first woman marketing in the alcohol beverage industry. She will be remembered. I guarantee you that. Promise that. But I'm thinking the bottling plant is just concerned because historically that was probably 80% of their business. A lot of the companies, there's an old-fashioned rule in business known as the 80-20 rule, where typically speaking, 80% of your results will come from 20% of your actions, or 80% of your sales will come from 20% of your customer base. It's been proven true many times across many industries. It's a fascinating thing. Actually, it's not on the shelf, but I think I might have to rebuy that book again because it is a fascinating business read. But if I were to guess the long-term relationship these plants had with Bud Light, I would think that was their biggest client. And if I was that plant, going forward, I'm guessing they're hoping they're going to increase their sales of other Anheuser-Busch InBev beverage properties, like a different brand that they own. Because Anheuser-Busch InBev, they own 51 brands of beer. That's a lot of swill. And if the theory is, and again, I don't think it's true, but some are thinking if the Bud Light brand goes away or just decreases exponentially to a very small sales volume, another brand might take its place, like Michelob Ultra or I believe Shock Top. They own a bunch of beers, obviously. And if that increases in demand, they'll need more glass bottles. Now, I don't know if they're selling these properties of these bottling plants or are they just closing them down. They're going to hold on to the physical assets for a while. But at the end of the day, disheartening. It's quite sad to have so many Americans lose their jobs. This isn't something they asked for. This is not something that they can control. It's all because of the CEO of Bud Light, Brandon Whitworth, making the wrong call. And then you have Alyssa Heiderchild with her brilliant marketing initiative that destroyed the brand. So it's quite sad. I hope maybe this plant at the last minute will get a contract from maybe Yealing or a competitor who might be able, I know Coors, Miller Lite, a lot of the other brands are rather separate companies. They are having their sales increase exponentially. Maybe they'll need some extra capacity. So the outlook is not so good for these plants, but I really hope that the employees are able to find jobs at a newer brewery, or rather more accurately, a newer production plant for these bottles, and hopefully they won't have too much of disruption or they're not unemployed for too long. And we'll see, but I'm hopeful, always hoping for the best when people are put in those types of situations. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. We're trying to get up to 3,000 subscribers in July, so if you could take the time to click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. The feedback greatly helps the channel out as we try to get the production better and better and better over time. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone to stay safe and fight the good fight.